Okay, so now that we've done exponents and we know that the exponent has a base, right, the bottom part, and then to the power of, let's say 2, so the base and the power, and that means that it's 2, the base, to the power of 2, so there's 2 of them with a multiplication sign into there. So that is 4. So in this case, we are going to work with squares. Squares are exactly what we did now. Anything to the power of 2. 1 to the power of 2, 2 to the power of 2, 3 to the power of 2. Anything to the power of 2 is called a square. So in this case, 3 to the power of 2 would be 3 times 3, which is equal to 9. Now the opposite of a square is a square root. Now we said in the last example that 3 to the power of 3 is equal to 3 times 3, and that is equal to 9. Now the square root of 9 is going to give us 3 again, because it's 3 times 3, right? Now what does the square root do? The square root cancels out the second one of those 3, and we just left with 3. Okay, so let's start with big numbers. In this case, let's say 10 to the power of 2 is equal to 100, right? That is the square of 10. But now the question can also be, what is the square root of 100? So the square root of 100. Now, if you don't know it is 10 times 10, that comes with practice, then you can always prime factorize. What is prime factorization? It's where you take the number and start breaking it down into its prime factors. So it means in its prime numbers. So what are prime numbers? It's 2, it's 3, it's 5, it's 7, it's 11, and so you go on. And you divide by their prime factors until you get to 1. So let's start with 100's prime factorization. We take 100 divided by 2 gives us 50. Now we ask ourselves again, can 50 be divided by 2 again? Yes, it can. We're left with 25. Now 25, can that be divided by 2 again? No. So what's the next prime number? 3. Can 3 go into 25? No. What's the next prime number? Is 5. How many times does 5 go into 25? It goes 5 times in there. Now we ask ourselves, what can go in there? Can 5 go in there again? Yes. 5 divided by 5 is giving us 1. And there is where we stop, because 1 is always the answer we want to get. Now what we do is we go check. There is 100 prime factorized, you can write as 2 times 2, right? 2 times 2 times 5 times 5. There's those numbers. And then we're going to group them, because square roots, what does square roots tell you? There's going to be 2. Let's make this let's make this a number placemat, and then times a again, right? A square is something times itself. Now we ask ourselves, where is there 2 of the same things? 2 and 5. There's 2 2's and 2 5's, so we can group them to say that 2 times 5, right, is equal times 2 times 5 once again. So because where squares are involved, we want 2 of the same values, and in this case 2 times 5 is one value, and the same value is 2 times 5 again. But what is that value? That value is then 10 times 10. So the square root of 100, we learned earlier on that you cancel the second one, and we just left with 10.